Peer. The term, peer, in our context means a person who is equal to another in abilities, qualifications, age, background, and social status. Who are the peers? Peers are individuals with whom we identify ourselves. Our peers are our friends and those people close to us with whom we spend most of our time and share common interests and feelings. Peers are our like-minded friends and companions. As we grow older and become more independent, our peers play a greater role in our lives, even more than our parents and siblings. They're like our extended family. Among peers there can be friendship and acceptance. We can share anything with them which in turn, help us in building bonds. Peer evolution. As the first year of life continues, children become increasingly sociable. The touches, smiles, babbles, and gestures are much more coordinated. Children begin to play with toys together. During the second year of life, children's interactions increase, with 2-year-olds often chasing each other around and playing together with toys. By 2 years of age, and certainly by 3, children clearly prefer some children over others. That is, they begin to have friends. Peer relations develop a great deal during the preschool age years. During the elementary school years, peer interactions become even more complex. The games children play with peers also are more sophisticated. Children spend a lot of time talking with their friends, exploring ideas with those with similar interests. During the grade school years, children spend time with the children they want to be with, rather than spending time with the children who happen to live next door. Physical fighting and quarrels decrease during the elementary years. Sharing and helping increase. The intensity of friendships and the importance of them also increase with the onset of adolescence. Adolescents often are part of a 5 to 10 person peer group called a clique, which is important to them. For example, some typical crowds found in high schools may be identified as the jocks, the brains, the druggies, and the nerds. Peer interactions and friendships clearly progress from infancy to adolescence. With increasing age, interactions are more complex and more decidedly social. Teens participate in hierarchies of relationships, being members of crowds who share lifestyles and general interests as well as part of cliques who are closer friends. Peer relationships. Peer relationships play an important and formative role in the development of social skills in children. Children learn to redirect their egocentric interests into avenues that promote the peer group's interests and so move from self to other-centeredness. Peer interactions as well as peer conflicts are necessary conditions in which a child learns to accept the point of view of another. In the course of such interactions, the child learns to examine her own contentions. This experience with the peer group is needed to break down the egocentrism of the child and make him consider viewpoints other than his own. As children become adept in role-taking abilities, they begin to engage in social behavior which involves others such as teamwork, cooperation, discussion and planning with others. Peer interaction is a necessary factor for the development of role-taking skills. The greater the participation of a child in a social group, the more developed are his social skills and the more likely she is to be popular among his peers. Peer relationships play a meaningful role in the social skills of children. Peer interactions and friendships clearly progress from infancy to adolescence. With increasing age, interactions are more complex and more decidedly social. Although even very young children have friends versus acquaintances, the distinction between a close friend and a member of the larger crowd becomes more salient with increasing age. Adolescents explore who they are, what they want to be, what they think, and how they want to live. Children who have higher social competence in areas as leadership skills have the ability to get along well with others. By allowing children to interact with children of their own age group, we help them to build good social relations with their peers. This social interaction is a mechanism by which a child begins to understand his own behavior from the point of view of others. This helps the child to recognize that the thoughts and feelings of others may be different from his own. He learns to take in and accept others' points of view. This helps the child to understand the way she perceives and feels about a particular issue. Once the child develops this skill, he can communicate more effectively with other people in different social situations. These social perspective skills are necessary for desirable social cognitions such as moral reasoning, problem solving, thinking, and better social behavior, i.e., better peer interaction and adjustment with peers. Peer pressure. Do you remember the time when you were young, when you wanted to do exactly as your friends from the same age group did? You wanted the same toy or bicycle, wanted to dress the way they dressed. To put it simply, that is what is meant by peer influence. Peer pressure is the direct or indirect pressure exerted by an individual's peer group which can bring about changes in that individual's attitude or behavior to fit into that group. It is natural for all individuals to identify with and compare themselves to the people with whom they interact. In the process, they influence and get influenced by each other. Friends influence us in many ways: the way we dress, think, take decisions, buy things, etc. The level of peer influence generally increases as children grow and as the need to conform grows, before they truly form an adult identity. The resistance to peer influence declines as children gain independence from the family. Preschool children tend to be the least aware of peer pressure and are the least influenced by the need to conform. However, with more social interactions outside the home and more awareness of others, the influence of peer increases and the peer influence is higher. The problem arises when this influence gets transformed into peer pressure. Peer pressure occurs when an individual experiences implied or expressed persuasion to adopt similar values, beliefs and goals, or to participate in the same activities as those in the peer group. Peer pressure exists for all ages. A 6-year-old boy insists that his mother takes him to the toy shop immediately, to buy him the latest toy or gadget or the sports bike because his friends have it. When the mother says no, he has a temper tantrum. A 10-year-old girl wears a dress once to a party and then refuses to wear it again because her friends made fun of it or it is not fashionable. Teenage boys do work out in gyms to have a perfect body like the school heroes, and girls starve themselves to look like the most attractive girl at school. They do it to conform. Peer pressure peaks during adolescence, but it never entirely disappears. Even adults feel the pressure to conform in order to belong to a desired group, and this can be in the place of work, neighborhood, or even in the family. As adults, we can find a rational balance between accepting group beliefs and holding on to our own individuality. But preteens and teenagers face many challenges related to conformity and peer pressure. They are pulled in two different directions: the desire to be seen as an individual and the desire to belong to a group where they feel secure and accepted. The result is that often children, especially teens, ignore the views of family and society in general, and feel pressure to conform to the values of their peer group. An example of this is when young people join gangs. To belong to the gang, they must adhere to the gang's own style of dressing, behavior, and speech. Only then will they fit in. While children are involved in this process of fitting in with their peer groups, they fail to see the consequences of giving in to peer pressure. Peer groups and their influence. The peer group as defined by Webster's dictionary means contemporaries of the same status. An extended definition of the term is, a peer group is a group of people of approximately the same age, social status, and interest. Peer groups exert a powerful influence on growing children, especially adolescents. No matter how foolish it may seem to grown-ups, belonging to a group is something very important and significant to a child. Peer groups are a place where children feel accepted, where they can act themselves, feel good about themselves, their self-esteem is enhanced. It is commonly seen that life for children becomes simpler when they conform to the values of their peer groups. Young people naturally gravitate towards other young people with the same problems and in the same situations as themselves, and where they feel they will be understood and accepted. There is a very strong need to satisfy that thirst, the need for acceptance. The feeling of belongingness is a very powerful force that can outweigh ties to family, school, society, or community. Some other characteristics which peer groups offer apart from feeling of belongingness and not being alone or socially isolated are: A strong belief structure. A clear system of rules. Communication and discussion about taboo subjects such as drugs, sex, smoking, etc. Value development through peers. There is a common perception that peer pressure is the reason for all negative behavior in children, especially adolescents. However, peers are necessary and crucial for successful all-round development. The peer group is a source of affection, sympathy and understanding, a place for experimentation and a supportive setting for achieving the two primary developmental tasks of children. Firstly, finding one's identity to the question, who am I? And secondly, discovering one's self as a separate and independent entity from parents. While young people often find these needs being met within the family, the peer group provides unique and different opportunities to meet these needs. The peer group encourages autonomy, mutuality, and experimentation with self-guided roles. The ability to make and keep friends is one of the most powerful indications of successful, positive peer group interactions. As children spend much of their time away from home, whether at school or social events, they find security in the approval of their peers. This desire to be accepted by their peers is perhaps a strong motivating force, especially during adolescence, and it is for this reason that peer pressure sometimes compels adolescents to engage in high-risk and daredevil stunts. The period of greatest risk is when adolescents enter high school. Just as their self-esteem drops, especially in girls, and the daily pressure increases, they're introduced to older peer groups who engage in new activities. Peer pressure can be positive if the peers help in changing the person for the better. Peers can be a positive influence and can help in imbibing values and build a strong character. The most visible influence is in the domain of academic achievements. Several studies have confirmed the research findings that the values of the peer group with whom the high school student spends the most time are a stronger factor in the student's level of academic success as compared to the values, attitudes and support provided by their family. Researchers have found that students whose families were not very supportive, but who spent time with a peer group that was academically oriented, got good grades. In contrast, those students whose families gave stress on academics, but who spent time with peers whose interest or orientation was not towards high academic achievements, performed less well. It is clear that if students group together in study groups that provided academic and social focus, they will be high academic achievers. Even in schools, the most effective lessons learned are from one's peers. Inculcation of values through school and peers. Seshadri, 1981, goes on to acknowledge that the atmosphere of the school and the personality of the teacher cast a great influence on the children. It would be indeed farcical to attempt to inculcate values in a school setting which conspicuously exhibits the lack of these values. The teacher himself cannot impart it if he lacks a faith in such values. Apart from home, schools are the important place where children learn values naturally through activities and through the daily normal interactions with their peers. And next to the parents, the teachers have an important and effective role in the inculcation of values amongst children. The behavior of the teacher therefore becomes important, for actions speak louder than words. The teacher must cultivate in the child the quality of sincerity of purpose in whatever the child undertakes. The teacher should not treat the child harshly for the undesirable impulses and habits. When a child commits a mistake, mind must see that he confesses it to the teacher spontaneously, and he should be made to understand his mistake with kindness. The school must therefore be able to stimulate an atmosphere which will encourage interpersonal and community life. The principles that should govern the schools may be summarized as under. The school should be a warm, friendly and purposeful community of which every child can feel that he is a valued member who has something to contribute. It should try to reach a common ethos which the staff and the students have worked out. The children should have the opportunity of participating in all activities in small groups. The school should encourage a sense of responsibility at all levels, responsibility of actions, of contribution to the life of the school, of helping one another, and of solving the problems of the community. The curriculum should be designed to draw on the curiosity and creative powers of the children. The school should maintain a system of guidance and counseling. The school can introduce the child to look on himself and on the life that he might otherwise not gain. A child must have the right to learn from peers, books, teachers, other parents, outside experts and so on, in a school setting. The school through its various activities, particularly the school assembly, should stress the themes of courage, achievement, love, compassion, wonder, imagination, joy, tragedy, endurance, hope, responsibility, humanitarian endeavor and the challenge and mystery of existence. The assembly should reinforce the values of the students. There are many ways in which schools can encourage formation of positive peer groups and conduct activities where children can imbibe values in the following ways. Peer Leader Program. In the Peer Leader Program, some students are chosen as peer leaders. Peer leaders are trained to participate in counseling, support groups, drug or violence prevention programs and other such community programs where students act as positive role models for other students. Collaborative learning practices. Collaborative learning practices involve peer mentoring and tutoring programs where student leaders volunteer to work as mentors to other students or student groups. They are involved in helping academically low achievers in their studies in improving their scores. Some even volunteer to teach students some skills which they have acquired. Student leaders are trained in understanding and empathizing with others, setting goals or achievable targets, problem identification and problem solving while making decisions, and above all communication skills in order to lead, coach and support other students and be good role models. Youth organizations. Youth clubs or organizations which carry out many healthy activities like cultural programs, stage plays and dramas, organize charity shows, health camps and so on. Conservation drives are a good activity where children can participate in a peer group and learn to become responsible citizens. It also gives a chance to the student to show his hitherto latent skills, be they music, drama, or organization skills, to his peers whose appreciation and recognition is very important to him. Sports clubs. Positive peer pressure can make a student feel like joining a sports club in case a group he admires is doing it. Sportsman spirit. Building a healthy body and learning to handle failure and success equally, working as teams, team spirit, are important values he can learn in the company of his peers. Other initiatives. Peer learning through activities. A strong peer group can facilitate the teacher in teaching the kids not only what is right and not right, but also how to consider the consequences and to critically weigh the decisions. Developing self-esteem and instilling self-confidence. One of the best things that teachers can do is develop self-esteem and instill self-confidence in the children. Self-esteem is the confidence and satisfaction one has in oneself. It is a measure of how much one likes, accepts and respects himself, herself as a person. A person who has high self-esteem is able to deal with criticisms, failures and difficulties bravely. With high self-esteem comes self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from being able to make the right choices. Children are able to make a choice based on what they know is right and stick to their decision even in the face of peer opposition. Recognizing positive personality traits. In schools, recognition is given to children excelling in academics, sports or co-curricular activities, but recognition and prizes should also be given for positive personality traits in students. This can be done as a peer group activity. Students know their peers even better than teachers do. They have remarkable insights into each other's character, and often the teacher gets to know a student's traits through other fellow students. To encourage desirability of good qualities and to help students get rid of the bad qualities, the following activity can be carried out. Activity 1. The teacher can select any 3 or 4 good personality traits and discuss the characteristics of each of these traits with the students. Students can be asked to vote who is the most disciplined, most honest, most helpful, most friendly among their classmates. Students getting the highest number of votes are awarded certificates. This is a good activity for learning values through peers by peers. Students can be asked to write 1, 2 good traits of their classmate which they would like to imbibe. Then a process of how much he has achieved in 1 month will be done by peer group evaluation, where the opinion of the children are asked for and the strengths and weaknesses are taken up. Peers will decide whether there is any improvement. This game can also be played as dumb charades, where some qualities of a particular student are acted out and students have to identify the student. Care must, however, be taken not to hurt the sensibilities of others. The purpose is to learn and not to make fun. Helping kids make and stand up for good choices. Group activities can be conducted in classes where a situation is given to them involving an ethical dilemma. Students are encouraged to analyze and make a decision. In case the decision is to say no, teach them to choose and use words, expression on how to refuse a peer's encouragement to do something harmful. Teach them the ways to say no that will make their peers respect them rather than shun them. If they're trained in critical and analytical thinking and good communicative skills, they will use them in the daily lives. Activity 2. Know yourself. Ask the students to make 2 columns in their notebooks. One column should be titled, OK, and the other, Not OK. Prepare a list by asking the students to describe situations they commonly face. Alternatively, you can give a list of situations that are OK and not OK. Ask them to put the situations under the appropriate headings. Once they have finished, have each student read aloud 1 OK situation and 1 not OK situation. Promote group discussion by asking students why they put certain situations in one column instead of in the other. Ask the students to share some experiences where they were pushed into doing something against their wishes or where they said no. Teach forethought. Encourage the group to think of possible results, to balance the positive and negative side to a proposed action, to think of the long-term effect of their action and then take a balanced decision. Activity 3. Students can be asked to balance the decisions by asking these questions. Will this harm me or someone else? Could this change my long-term health? Could doing this affect my education? If my parents knew, would they approve? Is this illegal? What will my teacher, people important to me, think if they know? Learning to weigh decisions. Using the techniques mentioned in point E, the following activity can be carried out. Activity for decision making, IV. Situation. Decision making. Reason for your decision. 1. Your friends ask you to miss a class and go for a movie with them. Decision making, A. Say no. Refuse to go with them. Decision making, B. Join the group and go. 2. You are taking a test. You are eager to score good marks. Suddenly you realize you have a chance to copy from the best student. Decision making, A. Say no to the temptation. Decision making, B. Copy the student's answer as much as you can. 3. You are alone at home with friends. Your parents are not at home. Your friends want to watch some forbidden website on the computer. Decision making, A. Refuse and advise your friends against it. Decision making, B. See the offensive material. 4. Your friend cracks dirty jokes in the presence of younger children. Everyone laughs. Decision making, A. Express your disapproval and refuse to join the crowd. Break your friendship. Decision making, B. Laugh with the crowd. 5. You overhear a group gossiping about one of your teachers. Decision making, A. Stand up for the teacher and scold others. Decision making, B. Join the conversation and add your share of gossip to it. 6. Your parent asks you to study harder. Decision making, A. Obey them and promise to work harder. Decision making, B. Refuse their advice. 7. You returned home late after going for a party without your parents' permission. Decision making, A. Apologize and promises never to do it again. Decision making, B. Lie about where you were. 8. Some of your classmates win the school election, get a high rank or win a prize. Decision making, A. Congratulate them sincerely. Decision making, B. Resent their success and make nasty comments behind their back. 9. You find a purse in the school campus with lots of money in it. Decision making, A. Hand it over to the school authorities, class teacher. Decision making, B. Take the money yourself. 10. Some students unjustly accuse an unpopular student in your presence. Decision making, A. Speak up in defense of the student. Decision making, B. Keep silent saying, "It's not my concern." 11. Your parents disapprove of your friends. Decision making, A. Obey your parents. Decision making, B. Refuse their opinion and continue being friends. 12. Someone else has been falsely accused of something you have done. He or she is going to be punished undeservedly. Decision making, A. Own up your fault and accept the due punishment. Decision making, B. Keep quiet and let the innocent person receive the punishment. 13. You discover some people are spreading lies about you. Decision making, A. Ignore them. Pay no attention. Decision making, B. Become angry and hold a grudge. 14. Your friends invite you to smoke or take drugs with them. Decision making, A. Say no. Decision making, B. Say okay, and join the group. Schools can encourage formation of positive peer groups through peer leader program, collaborative learning practices, youth organizations, sport clubs, etc. Peer learning can be initiated through activities like developing self-esteem and instilling self-confidence, helping kids make and stand up for good choices, teaching forethought, learning to weigh decisions,